Hey guys, welcome back to Confessions of an Evolving Millennial. My name is Nancy, and on today's video, we want to talk about something that's very dear to my heart. Very dear to my heart. You wanna guess what it is? Drum rolls. Insert. One of these days, I'll be able to start inserting stuff in my videos. For now, I'm still figuring it out, but soon. Very soon. But anyway, I want to talk about something that's very dear to my heart, and that is my relationship with God and how that has evolved over the years. And I'll start by saying it's been in the ghetto. The last couple of years, it's been in the ghettos. It's been a whole process of unlearning and relearning a whole lot of things. And the reason why this was such a big deal to me is because I don't personally remember a time when I didn't have a relationship with God. Like when I think about my whole life since I was a child, I've always had a connection with God. In fact, a picture that really remains so vivid in my mind is this one crusade. We used to go to so many crusades when we were younger, but there was this one crusade that is always in my mind, and I was probably in lower primary because I was a child, and I remember just being there by myself because I don't think there was anyone I had gone with, and I used to do that a lot. Like as long as the crusade is just like karibu, it's near home, I'd go by myself. I didn't have to really go with anyone. Like that's how much I was drawn to all of those things. And I remember that particular crusade, and I was praying and I was lifting my hand, and I remember at that age experiencing the presence of God, and I was really young. And then all the other crusades, like all of them, I got born again, but that specific one I remember, like it's very vivid in my mind. I also remember bits and pieces of the other ones, but that one particularly, there's something that about it, I don't know what it is. I don't pretend to fully understand like the things of God, but there's something about that particular crusade. But otherwise, I used to go for all the crusades. I used to get born again in all of them. Wakisema, who wants to give their life to Jesus? My hand is up. Hata kama ilikuwa jana, tena leo. Also because I think when you're a child, when I was a child, let me speak for myself. When I was a child, I thought that now if you get born again, and then now maybe you've done something wrong, then you have to get born again, you know, that kind of thing. But that is just to say that's how much my relationship with God has just been a part of who I am as a person. And I remember even throughout primary school, like I used to even tell people about God when I was so young. I served in like the church leadership. When I went to high school, I was also serving in the CU. I love praying, and so I used to lead the intercessory team. And then of course I ended up getting married to a pastor, and that did not work out. And then also like we had gone to Indonesia for missionary work, so there was also a lot of evangelizing. I've also evangelized like in the streets here in Kenya, you know, just the whole damn shebang. I tell you. And I know that when I got divorced, it really rocked my relationship with God, mostly because there was also a lot of spiritual manipulation and all those things, and so it left me at a place where I was questioning a lot of things. And after leaving that marriage, I remember just being in a place where I was still connected to God, I was still talking to God. I personally believe, even though other people might feel otherwise, like, because you know God hates divorce, I personally believe that it's God who helped me run away. And I literally, one day I'll share that testimony, I'll share that story one day, because I ran away, guys. I ran away, and I feel like I was being carried, literally like I was being carried from I ran away from Malaysia. So we were actually in Malaysia at the time for a visa run. So like from Malaysia to coming all the way to Kenya, and then having an 11-hour in Itangwaje. It's been so long since I flew. Layover, 11-hour layover in Guangzhou, China, and just like meeting someone there randomly, hi Ange, and just connecting with her and like spending my 11 hours with her, and she didn't know what was happening. Like we were just talking and just getting to know each other, and like I just feel personally from my own experience, I feel like God was literally carrying me. Like it felt like I was also, of course, if you know a bit about trauma and flight and fight, like sometimes when you're running away flight now, you become dissociated. Like your brain can kind of like dissociate so that just to protect you and to allow you to go through that process. And part of it, I felt like God was just carrying me and got me home safe and sound. And yeah, I know people might disagree with that because it's like, are you saying God helped you to run away from your marriage? Do you know God hates divorce? Let me tell you something. I don't know if I've said this in one of the videos, but I personally have understood why God hates divorce because I've gone through it. I know better why he hates divorce. He doesn't hate divorce in the sense that do not get divorced. He hates divorce in the sense that he understands, he knows what it does to his children. Like he knows like how it can affect you as a person, the kind of pain that you might have to go through, the kind of grieving that you might have to go through, that's why he hates divorce. Or rather, that's what I believe. That's the reason why even the Bible says that God hates divorce. It's because of what it does to people. It's not like now everyone should stay in marriages where they are not being their true selves, or they are not allowed to fully explore their potential or live out their purpose. I don't think that's what it means. Yeah. And yeah, where was I? What was I saying? Basically, just to say that like God is such a central part of my life, and my relationship with him was really rocked when that after that divorce. Like when I came back home, I wasn't going back. I wasn't going to the church that I used to go to, but I found another church that I was going to, and I really liked it. And then COVID hit, and then now we had to do church from home. And then after that, I never ended up like really going back to church. Like, because also I was grieving like an old kind of relationship that I had with God, so to speak, because I think it was very structured in a religious kind of way. And so I remember still talking to God, still having that relationship with God. I remember one time I was seated on my mom's balcony. She was staying in Zimmerman, and she were living together, and I remember sitting down at the balcony and I was crying. You know that crying for the one that your breath just like there's no breath anymore. And I remember telling him, because I was a bit conflicted about my decision, because I felt so sure about my decision. Like I felt very, very sure about my decision. Like I felt that can't be the life for me. That's not my life, guys. That cannot be it. I didn't feel like I was put in this world to suffer like that. And actually I remember that's one of the questions that I asked myself before making the decision to run away, because I ran away the first week of 2020. So I remember like around November, December, I remember asking myself, if my life did not change the way it's been this year, and then it's just the same like that next year, would I be okay with that? And I was like, no, I'm not okay with that. That doesn't even feel like my life. This can't be it. You know, this cannot be it. And then, what was I saying? I was talking about that time at the balcony, and then because I was a bit conflicted, because a lot of people, of course, were trying to talk me into considering giving the ex-husband like another chance, like maybe we figure it out, yada yada. But I remember being so sure I don't want that, like 100%. But then I wanted to know what God within me was saying. And I was just there crying. And then I remember telling God that, you know what, if you tell me to go back into that marriage, you tell me, and I feel that it's you who's told me, and don't do it through any person. If you tell me that I need to go into that, I need to go back into that marriage, I will go back. But I'm letting you know that I do not want to. I don't want to. But if you say that that is your will for my life, you know what, I'm going to do it. And I remember, even as I'm saying those words, I'm like, why would God want to force me into something that I don't want? And I felt a sense of peace in my heart. And I knew that I was making the right decision, and even God did not have a problem with it, you know? And fast forward after that, after COVID happened, and then now we're not going physically to church. I think like slowly I just started to like pull away from church in general. There were some things that I found myself not agreeing with. Like I felt like I was not like allowed to ask questions and be inquisitive. Like there was a lack of authenticity from my own personal experience. Like, and naturally I'm a very inquisitive person, and so when I would try to maybe like ask questions so that I can understand, it was perceived as I'm lacking faith. It's like, you just believe, this is what we are saying, just believe, why don't you have faith, you know, kind of thing. And that was a theme also in the marriage, where I was made to feel like my desire to just understand, you know, something to do with the things of God was like a lack of faith to some degree, which is crazy just thinking about it right now. But yeah, I remember just pulling myself away from the church and deciding that I want to figure out how to have a relationship with God outside of the church. Like, I'm not like a member of a church somewhere, yada, yada, yada. Okay, I was already a member in that church, and I still am. And it's the church that I go to when I do want to go to church. And I think for those like 3 years, I was just in a limbo of like figuring it out. And also, to some point, I also got like a bit numb, and I got to a place where it's like now it was no longer that important. It's like, let me just focus on my life and living my life and healing and doing the things, you know. But I remember last year, part 1, towards the end of the year, I actually remember feeling in my heart that I want to cultivate a relationship with God again. I want to be intentional about having a spiritual life. And so at the beginning of last year, I decided that I want to start going back to church and see if that can kind of like help me to like rekindle that relationship with God. So last year I went back to the church that I had joined in 2020, because I really genuinely liked the church, and I still like the church very much. I like how organized they are. There are a lot of things that I like about them in terms of like how they do their things and yada yada yada. But anyway, I started going back to church. I started going to church at the beginning of last year, and I would say that it was a very good experience. I enjoyed the experience, and it was doing something for me, but it was still not doing it for me, so to speak. It's definitely a church I was 100% recommend to anyone who goes to church, but I still felt like there's just something that was missing. There was just an element that was missing. And so I stepped away from intentionally going to church. It's like, okay, I tried it and I've found that's not the answer. So let me go back to just like figuring it out and like just asking God himself or themselves, like, okay, guide me. I'm here. I'm open, you know. And 1 year later, I'd say that I'm somewhere. Guys, I'm somewhere. Let's clap. Insert claps. Yeah, because I actually finally feel connected to God. First of all, I'm like, what lie was this that I was disconnected from God? What lie was this? Because now I'm just like, because for the longest time I felt like, no, I don't know, I just feel so far away from God. But like one of the things that I've realized as I am like rekindling that journey with God is that like he's always been there, because he lives inside of me. Like he's the life force inside of me. Like I cannot be separated from God, like ever. Like there's nothing that I could possibly do, number one, that could separate me from God. There's no lifestyle that I could live that would separate me from God. Like literally every single person that you see that is alive, in my opinion, God is inside them, and God, they cannot be separated from God. It's just the level at which someone knows God that might be different, or has a relationship with God. And I'm just like really, really grateful that I'm finally in a place where I get to experience the presence of God. I get to hear and feel His direction in my life. I get to experience His love and His peace and joy, like all the good stuff, that I know that I have lacked in my journey in the past. And I wanted to make this video short just to say that you cannot be separated from God. There's nothing that can separate you from God. A divorce can separate you from God. Even like anything carnal cannot actually separate you from God. You can't tell me. I believe that we can sit down and say, oh, so and so, because they live a certain lifestyle, they are separated from God. I do not think so. Honestly, I don't think so. In my opinion, I don't think we can be separated from God, because God is within us and He's the life force within us. So I hope in the next video I'll be able to just share some of the lessons that I've learned from my own personal relationship and journey with God, and some of the mistakes that I made that I would recommend someone not making them. But if you need to make them so that you can learn, well and good. Well and good, because even me, I had to learn. By making some of them, I had to make the mistakes so that I can learn. So I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.